Episode 14, Pivoting in the Pandemic, How COVID Changed Our Biz.
Hi, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Jade.
And this is Really Fucking Trying.
A podcast where we talk about the ins and outs and ups and downs of running a small business and being creative.
In today's episode, we'll be telling you all about how COVID and lockdown changed our businesses, how we dealt with isolation when the world was at its weirdest, and we're joined by Laura from Make A Daze.
Woo! So, Laura, do you want to tell us a little bit about your business, about you, anything, everything?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm Laura, and my business is Make A Daze. I started my business during the lockdown, and I've basically just been keeping going and evolving it ever since then. Started out one way and now transitioning into another thing, so it's just like a constant evolving business, but at the core it's always like me, which is like, think glitter, colorful, noisy, a bit silly, a bit fun, but you know, a little bit of chaos, like all rolled in there. So
I love that. Do you want to tell them what it is that you make? Do you want to tell them where they can find you, things like that?
So my primary things that I sort of make are all illustrative based, so I design all my things through my iPad, and then I will make various products out of them or use them as like a jumping off point to do some actual handmade craft things. So I've been doing some lino printing recently. Originally I started out with polymer clay, so then I've just kind of evolved from polymer clay and then been a bit more hands-on with drawing, and then now it's just expanding and going, what else can I do? I have my own website, which is makeadaze.co.uk, and I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere that has like some sort of social media thing, and it's just Make A Daze on all of those, so they can find me there. And it's normally me just like talking about my cat, my business things that I'm making, talking about my ADHD, and talking about the fact I've lost my keys again, those sorts of conversations.
I love that.
I love that, yeah. I feel like it's all of us as well, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it's so relatable as well.
We're all just a bit chaos.
We're all a
aren't we?
bit chaos, yeah.
So you said that you started during lockdown.
Yeah.
Had you always been kind of creative but just not found that time, maybe?
Yeah, I guess when I was at school, I was like, art was my subject, and then I did my A levels, and it was like art, photography, and just trying to do as much as I could all the time. Like, I lived in the art department. We had our own little booths in there, and I was there before school, on my lunch break, after school. Like, that was my little home, and I just loved doing it. But I just found school really like confining about what art is and what is good art, and like what you have to do, like tick all the boxes to get all the right marks. And it was just not very me. Like, I like drawing silly little creatures, and I like playing with paints, like when I'd be the one using my fingers for the paint instead of the paintbrush, just because I was like, oh, I wonder how it will look on the page and things like that. And my art teachers were actually really good. They were so encouraging and just kind of did their best to kind of get my expressiveness out there, but also make sure I got a grade at the end of it.
Yeah.
And then I applied for art school, and I just didn't get in. And I think they were just they put me on the wait list, and I just never got in. And then I sort of decided that maybe art wasn't for me. Maybe I just wasn't good enough, and like I can't draw faces, I can't do this, so maybe I'm just not meant to do like art as a thing. And then years and years went by, you know, went off and did a degree in something else, and then been working for years. And then when the lockdown came, it was just kind of evolved from there. I basically was at my job, I worked in retail, and then lockdown happened, and we were all like, what do we do now? So like everyone else on the planet, I made banana bread, I baked my own homemade loaves, cookies, anything I could do in the kitchen. And my other half is self-employed. He's a copywriter, so he was working the whole time. So he was upstairs in the bedroom, sat on the bed with his laptop, because we didn't have an office space, and I was downstairs just like creating chaos in the kitchen. And then once we had dispensed food to all the neighbors, and it got to the point where my husband said, maybe you should try a hobby. And I sort of just went through things and I just thought, oh, okay, maybe. And he suggested polymer clay originally to me. And he said, you should try this. I think you'd really love it because you can do it at home. Something you can order it online. It will come here and then you can just play around with it and bake it in the oven. And then it's there. It's a thing. And so I just did. I ordered a bunch of stuff. It was like the cheapest form of clay and it was just not very good quality. But I gave it a go and I just started playing around with it. And I think because I was already an avid follower of so many other small businesses online and I saw how they did their thing and how they showed themselves on social media and the kind of things they were making and selling in shops and on markets and I just was like, oh, that's so amazing and that's so cool. I love what they do. And again, my husband was like, well, you could do that. You could start your own business. I was like, no, I can't. That's like grown-up people things. I can't start my own business. You need like someone to tell you you've got a business degree to do that. And he before he did copywriting, he trained as an actor. So for him, his whole life has been a bit much of a, gift of the gab and just try it and see. So he was like, no, just do it, give it a go. Just pick a name. We'll pick a name, and then you just start it, and you just start posting stuff and see what happens. And I just kind of evolved from there. I think the only other big leap I did was I signed up with like an online small business community group thing, and I thought, well, some people pay like hundreds of pounds to sign up for a gym for a year, and I hate the gym. It's actually cheaper than joining a gym that I would never go to, and it might make it that I have a business. So I tried that, and I just thought, oh, sod it, I'll just give that a gamble.
I love the logic.
Girl math, love
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that's fab. What a cute little story.
It is nice,
that,
but
yeah.
I think the reason that we wanted this as an episode as well was because it wasn't, I don't think either of us, did we, sort of go, we need a COVID
No.
episode. That sounds a bit weird, a COVID episode.
Yeah.
But we're not going to call it that. But when we started the guest applications, I said to you, didn't I? Every single one mentions COVID, but yours especially, because I know that you mentioned the banana bread, and I was like, this is so typical of what we were all like as well. I think we very much related to you as well from the application where we were like, we've got to get Laura in. But we do want to clear up as well, because we know that it was such a pivotal time for so many small businesses like you, Laura, that started my business, but it changed a lot of businesses that already existed. But we never want to be like, oh, wasn't that amazing for businesses? It was a terrible thing, and it really it shouldn't have happened.
I mean, like, I feel very fortunate that nobody I was close to was, affected massively by COVID. I don't know where you guys are at with that, but this is just from our point of view, what happened to us during that time.
What happened to us and what happened to a lot of creatives and small businesses as a result of that. It was still shit, and we still wish it hadn't have happened. But it's so interesting, isn't it, what it actually did for the small business community and for a lot of artists as well, whether that was for good or for bad.
Because even like, obviously, a lot, like Ellie said, a lot of the applications, people were like, started my business in COVID. But then when we started getting guests on that hadn't said that, a lot of them were saying it to us then, weren't they?
Yeah.
When that bit where we're like, introduce yourself, a lot of them were like, well, it started during COVID. And it was mad.
It's such an important time for so many.
It really
I don't
was.
think any small business that we've spoken to so far has not had something to say about those years.
No, but I think
Crazy,
obviously, like you, Laura, a lot of people had more time on their hands and were looking for something to fill that space. But I got this feeling of like, oh, life's too short once COVID happened. Do you know what I mean? Because you never know what's coming. That was for a lot of people, that could have been such a big waste of time. And I felt like I don't want it to be that.
And for me personally, it was like, at that point when COVID happened, it wasn't till like in the last year or so that I've had a diagnosis of ADHD and being autistic.
Okay.
For me, without really knowing about it, creating my business and having a thing to do was like a massive coping thing for me. Because part of like my neurodiversity is like having structure and having an outlet. So for me, I would get up in the morning like that first week and I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do? I'm stuck in this house, which is like the smallest little hobbit house you've ever seen, with my husband who I love, but we would drive each other mad if we were around each other every second. And my cat, who just like is her own little character, but I was like, I've got to do something. And so I'd get up in the morning, I'd go for a really long walk. I'm really lucky where I live. There's like some great sort of outdoor areas and parklands. And I'd go for this massive walk for like an hour, and I'd be listening to podcasts like other small businesses or creatives, or just like even like celebrity ones where people were talking about their creative process and it was just popping off ideas in my head, and it gave me that space to kind of readjust my brain and then come back and be like, right, this is my focus today. I'm going to make this thing, or I'm going to do this. And it just gave me that energy to kind of keep going and doing things. And like I said, it was that it's now or never. And it was literally, I don't think I've literally been on a treadmill since I left school, did college things, and then did a degree, and then I was in full-time work. And I've literally been in retail and hospitality for like 20 plus years, like continuously. And like I suddenly realized when I was starting doing my business, oh my God, I have so much knowledge from like working out about how to talk to people, how to interact, how to sell things without pressuring people to sell things, how to think of details that matter, like the details of how you set up a stand and things. I had been learning, and I was like, so I can just do this from my own art, like stuff I actually like. So it meant I could suddenly have that time and energy without panicking about paying bills, because I was lucky that I was on the government assistance thing at the time. So they were paying for whatever, all my wages that time, but it meant I had the space to kind of not worry and just kind of focus. You know, obviously there was everything that was going on in the world was horrific, but it gave me somewhere that I could kind of absorb my mind and it be a bit joyful. And that's always been one of the big things about my business, is joy bringing. And because I love to bring joy to other people and spread joy, even if it's like when people come to my store and see my stuff, they suddenly smile and they might look at me and then walk away. They don't even say anything, but I'm like, a bit of happiness in a little bit of moment when maybe things were dark. So that's kind of my motivator, really.
Oh, I love that.
I like that.
That's so cute.
It's interesting as well to hear you say, because I think a lot of especially younger women will agree with this. A lot of us have worked in retail. A lot of us, it seems to be the primary job I find that young women in this country will go for. I have. But at that time, I worked in a Chinese takeaway. That's not the kind of retail experience that you can apply to a small business. Everything that I learned from that job, I had to then unlearn. The customer service skills were not there. We were trained to shout and not take shit. And I had to actually unlearn a lot of that. But since then, I have started working more retail part-time jobs where you're right, it is about display, presentation, being nice to the public. I didn't have that in the takeaway. But it's interesting to hear you say that you've applied those skills because it does help, I find. It
but
really
it's things
does.
that you don't often think about, isn't it? Because like we were talking earlier today and we were like, I hope you don't mind me saying, but before you started the business, you were like, I don't know if I can do that. But you've already got a lot of those skills. You just don't know you've got them. Do you know what I mean? Like I worked in hospitality, and again, the same thing that you've said, like loads of those skills are transferable. You just don't know that they are yet until you kind of throw yourself in.
And I've sort of over the years, like I worked in retail for so long, and it was always for like big companies, and so it's like it's a very different mindset of how you approach a business. And after COVID, I changed jobs and I moved into hospitality, and I was like, I worked in coffee shops, but they were all independent businesses. So I was so lucky, because then the people who I was working for were totally embracing of me having my own business, and like sometimes saying, look, I know it's a few months ahead, but I really want to do this market. I've been accepted. Can I not work a Saturday? And they'd be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. We'll sort it. So I've been so lucky that I've had people around me that were small business owners and have that slightly creative mindset of how to make a moment for people by doing something a little extra with their coffee that day because you heard they were having a bad day, or like, you know, making sure the kids were entertained while the mums order food. And there's all these little things, and I've always, like, you know, it's not like I'm some high-flying career CEO or a doctor or whatever, but I'm really proud of myself with my job. Like, I know I'm really good at my job. Like, I'm really good at selling and engaging with people. So for me, having my own business was like a natural thing to kind of do.
Makes sense. And you should be proud of yourself. You really should. It's hard.
It is hard.
So with the COVID situation, obviously both of you started your businesses in COVID. For me, it was a little bit different. So I've mentioned it in another episode, but I quit my job just before COVID happened. So COVID kind of hit in the March, didn't it? I'd quit my job in the January. I'd been doing the business very part-time alongside working in hospitality. And then the business I worked for got sold and I didn't like the new owner and stuff. So I just quit. And I thought I'll try the business full-time. And that was January. And then 2 months later, COVID hit. So I'd only really had 2 months to kind of try being full-time, if you know what I mean. And then COVID hit and I kind of shit myself, really. I really panicked. I thought, like, what have I done? Like, I've made the worst decision of my life. But then people started being stuck at home and shopping online more, and my Etsy kind of really took off then. So it maybe was the best time. It maybe was really good timing. Do you know what I mean? I just didn't know it at that point. I just really, really, really panicked because I really thought I've just made such a terrible, terrible mistake. But it kind of worked out really well.
You just don't know the way it's going to go as well. Sometimes this is what we mean. So many things with small business, things that you can't control, do factor into it. And it's about how you respond to that. But two, it's about riding out. You don't know. It could have gone shit for you. You're just lucky it didn't.
Yeah, I am very lucky.
You don't know what would have happened had it gone shit.
No.
I'm sure you'd have got through it because you're a big, brave girl.
Thank you, I am.
But I think it's a chance thing, but it did affect so many of us as well.
Yeah.
Because for me, I did officially start my business in 2020, but by that I mean the brand Ellie Francesca Design. I was hovering around for a good few years before that. So I finished education in 2018, the end of 2018, but from that I got very ill very quickly. So a lot of that was just about that next year, that 2019 year really as a whole was just about getting myself better, really.
Yeah.
But also, I've said this again in previous episodes, I probably am going to be repeating myself a lot, but when you've been ill for a while and it feels like a long time, even though it's not a long time, everybody else's life has moved forward, but yours feels like it stopped slightly. Yeah. And it's a strange thing to get into because I suddenly felt, oh, I've wasted so much time. Yeah. I'm really cracking on. Look at everybody else getting on with their lives and I'm just here, rotting away.
Aww.
Poor starving artist. But I was still very much finding my feet. I didn't give myself enough credit at all, really, because how old would I have been in 2018? I would have been 20, 21.
Oh,
so
baby.
Not old at all, really. But I wanted to do art ever since I was a kid. I was like you, Laura. I always wanted to do something arty. I had gone to art school, but no one tells you what to do after art school. You're not going to walk into a job the very next day, are you? So I had started a job while I was still at school, actually, in a Chinese takeaway. And the idea was when I started that job, I was going to save up enough money so that I could buy myself a nice eyeshadow palette from Urban Decay that I wanted.
Oh.
That is an excellent goal, to be fair, though.
7 years later, still there.
Oh.
But I think you just get... I hated the job. I like the people I work with, for the most part. But the job was just... It was shite.
Oh.
It was so shite. But I had joined Hazelhurst already, which is the studio that I was part of. So I joined then in 2016, I think. And like I say, finished college, uni, got ill, but I still had Hazelhurst. So there I am roaming around in this big studio full of professional artists, not really doing anything, just sort of hovering around there. But they started to get me involved with things in 2019, and against the odds completely, because it had started so badly. My health was just completely nosedive at the start of 2019. But the rest of the year was all right, because I got involved with things with them, exhibitions, like, how would I say this? Shadowing workshops, things like that. They kept me really busy with what they were they were going, why don't you do this with us? And I was like, yes. I was just saying yes to anything. So I felt like I was slowly getting myself back on my feet, still working at the Chippy part-time. Yeah. And then COVID hit. And I cannot tell you what a diva I was over it. It was like it had been sent to personally piss me off. I couldn't comprehend that it was affecting anybody else's life. It was all about me. Yeah. I was such a little twat over it. I remember whinging to my dad, and I mean whinging, going, I can't believe this has happened at a time when I was just getting back on my feet. How dare they send this my way? But with that came the panic. Yeah. Because I'd still been poorly. Yeah. I was still, I don't know what the word is. I call it immunodepressed. I don't know what the word, immunosuppressed, but I call it immunodepressed. And I thought, and my family are as well, like there's health issues there. And I thought, oh God, if I get this, will I die? Oh. So that was panic for me. Will I make somebody else really poorly? So yeah, panic, paranoia, complete self-obsession. Everyone that I worked with was slowly dropping out. So we're talking February 2020. A lot of them going, fuck this, not worth it. We didn't take card payments. It was cash only. That's a lot of touchy-feely with people's money. So a lot of the staff at that takeaway were going, no, fuck this.
Yeah.
And fair enough.
Yeah.
I probably should have, really. I'm surprised the fact that I was so worried about it, but I carried on working.
Yeah.
Because I had a feeling, because of the type of job it was, that they wouldn't go down the furlough route.
Yeah.
And what do you know? I was right.
Yeah. It was a hard time. Like, obviously it was a hard time, but you were just, everyone was kind of grasping onto any sense of reality, weren't they? So I understand that you stayed at your job.
Yeah, because it was trying to desperately grasp whatever was normal.
When I was in retail, it was literally, we had like an iPad at our shop where we did all the ordering from with customers. And every day, I remember every day at 3:00, there would be a BBC News alert where it tell you that day's total of people that were sick. And we'd be having palpitations and like worrying between us, like, why is no one doing anything? What's happening? But then we'd come to work the next day because it's like, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, it
was a bizarre time,
really
wasn't it? And it did feel a bit like the end of the world at one point.
No, it did.
Because I remember going to the shop just to buy some pens, and an old man stopped me in the car park, and he was out of breath and he was out of puff, and I thought, are you all right? Because he was about 70, this man. And he went to me, love, they've still got toilet paper in Wilco's. He said they ain't got any in Iceland. He said don't even try with B&M. And I'd only gone there for some pens. Like, I was just living my normal life.
Yeah.
He looked like he'd just battered somebody in Iceland for a loaf of bread.
That was the most bizarre thing to me, that everyone was at such different stages in the lockdown, if you know what I mean. Like, some people were just carrying on completely as normal. Some people were in full-on panic mood, like going out in hazmat suits. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just
I was like that
bizarre.
Eventually, but it took a while to kick in. Because I do remember, I think this was been what I didn't know at the time was my last ever day working at the takeaway. I remember we borrowed one of the chef's iPads so that we could watch Boris Johnson put us into lockdown. And I remember going to the girl I worked with, I remember going, fucking hell, Sarah, this is a bad sign of the time when we're relying on fucking Boris Johnson to tell us what to do with our lives. Like, I don't know where people stand politically, but for me, I thought that was a new low. But then we went into lockdown. I remember turning to the girl I worked with and I was like, do we shut now? And she went, I don't know.
Yeah.
And our boss, who English wasn't his first language, didn't seem to fully comprehend what was happening.
Yeah.
So we carried on as normal that night, and it was only the next morning that we got a phone call saying, done. And that was basically it, done.
It's mad, isn't it?
We didn't have any sort of online presence or anything like that. There wasn't a delivery-only system. That was done.
Yeah.
And that was my last ever day, and I had no idea after 7 years.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, but again, with the feeling sorry for myself, I remember us as a studio, we were a little bit more organised. So we had taken the decision, because there was about 10 of us in the building at that time, all on one level. So, you know, share a kitchen, share a bathroom. Yeah. We did take a decision to go, anyone that can work from home must work from home. So we were a bit more organised there. But I remember my roommate at the time, Rachel, and I've said this before as well, I remember going on to her going, if my job goes, Rachel, what am I actually supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? And she went, what have you been saying you're going to do for the past however many years? And I said, draw a load of portraits and start my own business. She went, yeah. She went, and what's been your excuse for not doing that? And I said, work. She went, what do you not have anymore? A job. What should you do? Crack on and do it. Yeah. And I needed somebody else to point that out to me, which is mad.
Yeah. You often do though, don't you?
Yeah, but it's the craziest thing, the fact that I needed somebody to just break it down so simply and say to me, you've been saying that you've never had time to do this, you've been saying you've never had time to do that. You do actually have the time now. So crack on while you're out of work, because this might never happen to you again.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully it will never happen to us again.
Oh, I hope so. I might like the peace and quiet. Can we have something that doesn't kill people instead?
Can we just have mini lockdowns just for us?
Like just self-imposed lockdowns.
It's like, it should be like adult summer holidays. Like, kids have the time off from school during the summer, but maybe we'll do it sort of like autumn time.
Yeah, that'd be incredible.
We'll have it October, November.
I'd love that.
Oh, imagine Christmas though, after a 6-week break.
Chaos.
Oh,
chaos.
But I used that time to work on my product range, and the business that I'd had in my head, but not physical, actually became a reality. Yeah. But I still I don't look back kindly at that time. It's like I look at portraits in my range now. I managed to get 12 portraits done during that time. And even now, this is 5 years later, over 5 years later now, I look back at them prints and I remember drawing it in a room on on my own, worried and being so lonely. Yeah. It's not a happy time for me, really.
It's not at all. So I really kind of, obviously, as I said, like I'd quit my job 2 months prior to COVID, but I was still kind of, I'd already had that massive life change of like working in hospitality and seeing people every day and dealing with customers, and to them working from home. And then COVID hit, and that took it like one step further, because I couldn't even like go and see my friends, or do you know what I mean? Like, I was quite fortunate that I lived with my mum, my dad, my brother, so there was a lot of us in the house, so I wasn't like lonely per se.
That's not great though during a pandemic.
No. I can remember my mum, so my brother had just moved back from uni. My mum made him come home because of COVID, and I can remember her saying, we'll have like a family night tonight, and she gathered us all in the living room but made us all wear masks and rubber gloves.
Oh god.
I remember that vividly. But yeah, it was quite a change from going from seeing people every day to working from home, and then to go from you can't even see your friends, or you can't leave the house and stuff like that.
Can't go for a drink.
No.
That pissed me off. The pubs are shut. No. Not Weatherspoons. I'm joking, we hate Mr. Weatherspoons.
We do hate Mr. Weatherspoons.
We just like Weatherspoons.
Mr. Weatherspoons is baddie. But yeah, so I really struggled with that kind of mentally, because I enjoy my own company, but it was just having that kind of choice taken away that I couldn't really deal with, do you know what I mean? But I also struggled with, so I suffer with chronic back pain, so that whole thing of like, go for a little walk for your mental health, I couldn't do that. So I literally was stuck in the house, if you know what I mean. Like, the furthest I went was like my back garden, and fortunately we had a really nice summer, didn't we, that year? But
it was too hot.
You're always fucking moaning.
I'm ginger, I can't be doing that kind of heat. I remember that summer, it was horrendous.
But I didn't go further than my back garden. So I was very kind of isolated, and obviously other people had it much worse. But for me, I felt it really did take its toll on me mentally. But I was still fortunate. I still count myself as very lucky, because, you know, it allowed my business to grow and stuff. But I wasn't in the right mind frame to have my business grow at that point.
Mind frame.
Does that know what it's called?
Mindset.
Mind frame? Mindset. Yeah, it's mindset. I wasn't in the right mindset to have my business grow at that point, because I couldn't cope with it. I couldn't deal with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be making new work. I wasn't in a creative mindset.
I agree with what you said, Laura, though, about needing a routine as well. Because for me personally, I like to wake up and know what I'm doing every day, know where I'm going to go. So to suddenly wake up one morning and be like, that job you had yesterday, you haven't got any more. Yeah. You're pretty much on your own now, kid. Yeah. And I hadn't been on my own at that point. I'd gone from school, college, studio, obviously day job in between them, constantly surrounded by people. And I do like my own company, but not that much. I can happily spend a day on my own and have a day off. I even like to go on little day trips by myself. I know it's dangerous, but I enjoy it. But yeah, day out. I mean, I got to a point, I remember talking to the portraits at one point as if they were my mates in the room, and I just thought, oh dear, this isn't good. Me and my mates were doing like quizzes over Zoom. It was just pathetic. Who would do that now?
That whole experience, like, I can't even, like, some of the things that you say, like, you just can't comprehend it, like, as a thing. Like, I was like, I can't, it feels weird to think that I was, like, you know, just hanging around the house all the time, and like, you know, I need to kind of do enough stuff to get me to when lunchtime is, and otherwise, you know, and it's just very odd. And I know, like, for me, like you say, routine, if I don't have a routine, I'll just flop, and I just won't do anything. And literally when COVID got announced, and like we knew we weren't gonna go to work and we couldn't do anything, my first thing I did was like, well, if I'm gonna be stuck indoors all the time, I'm subscribing to Disney Plus for a year, because I've got to have something to watch. I was like, I don't care how much it's costing, I'm getting it. So I was like, I made some really good choices. Yeah. But I didn't even think about like things like having a hobby, or like I was like, oh, I can just read all the books that I've said I'm gonna read and I've never read them. And then I was like, well, okay, that was a week, like, you know, now I have no more books and I can't go to the library, and like if I order them online, I've still got to wait for them to turn up and things like that. And it was just an odd thing of like thinking of how life was. And like you said, it was just like you couldn't really exist in the right way. But then for me, when it was transitioning, going back to life after COVID, it was just as weird, because I had to learn how to have a business while working full time, and then to like markets in the real world. Like, I've never done that, and like everyone was learning how to do those, like to make sure they're COVID safe and things like that. And it was just, everything was odd, and I had no frame of reference. But like other people, I sort of think, who'd had their businesses prior to COVID had a frame of reference of like how certain places were for selling, or like certain things that you could do to get into shops and have stockists, you know, that would want to have your work. But I literally was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I would say to people, I have no idea what I'm doing, because I didn't know if you could ask people, because like everyone looked like they knew what they were doing. So it was that whole thing of like trying to work out what to do while you're in COVID, and then trying to work out what you do once COVID like was a thing, but it wasn't a thing. Like people were trying to go back to normality and do things, and it was like, how do I do that and keep pursuing this thing that was making me happy and like giving me joy outside of work and things like that.
Yeah.
And it was just a chaotic time. Like, I was meant to get married in July 2020, so all during that and starting my own business, part of having the own business was to not make me focus and be so sad that I was having to rearrange and cancel all this stuff that I planned in my head. So it was just like you said, it was kind of that whole time I think I was just so down about having to not have the wedding when I wanted it, and not, and just think, will we be able to do it next year when we've changed it? And like, I was just getting so down about everything, that having this outlet that was just making silly things that were colourful and sparkly was exactly kind of what I needed. And I didn't even know it, like how much I was going to get out of it really long term, but I just got so much out of it having my business that I can't think of like not having it. And like, in a weird way, I have COVID to thank for that, but also rather have not had that.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, to think, because obviously, as we keep saying, COVID was such a hard time for everyone. Like, I found I was like, one day I'd be like, oh my God, I've got the time to do everything I've always wanted to do. And then the next day I'd be too depressed to do anything. Yeah. But without that happening, would any of us be where we are now in the business?
Yeah, no.
Would you have even started? Would I have carried on?
I was talking about this the other day, actually. I genuinely think I'd still be at that takeaway.
Do you?
Yeah, I do.
See, it'd be mad, wouldn't
I'm
it?
a creature of habit. That's what it was for me. It was the change.
Yeah.
And I actually, in the end, as I say, I was very self-obsessed. I believe that this has genuinely been sent to test me and throw a spanner in the works. It wasn't about anybody else for me. It was just me and my own little world. But I think once you sit down and you go, oh God, people are dying.
Yeah.
Kids in schools that can't even comprehend what's going on. People like yourself having to cancel the weddings. Yeah. People having babies. Yeah. Like, oh my days, that's such a hard time.
Yeah. It's crazy,
and in reality, me, little old immunodepressant me,
couldn't work at a Chinese takeaway anymore.
She hated anyway. Oh dear, she's got time now to actually do the things that she's been putting off for the past 5 years.
Poor Ellie.
I know.
It was just bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I did eventually in May, I believe it was May 2020, there was talks of the takeaway opening up again, and the owner of the takeaway decided to tell us that he was reopening by sticking a post-it note on our wheelie bins. That's professional.
That's so weird.
I saw that post-it note and I was like, no. I think that was how I decided. I knew if I went back into that, I would just get into my old routine again. Yeah. And I knew something had to change. Yeah. I still went and got a different part-time job somewhere else. Yeah. And that was shite too. But then I went into a plant shop, which I really enjoyed. But I did the same as, because I know, Laura, you said, oh, I haven't got a business degree. And I was the same. And I genuinely, I think largely through being not well, and it knocks your confidence. Yeah. That I was thinking, I'm not intelligent enough. I really wish there was a period where I was a cocky little gobshite teenager. And then when you get ill, that sort of gets knocked out of you a little bit. Yeah. But I wish I'd have kept some of that. Yeah. I think I did keep some of that eventually. It's definitely back to me now. But I did go through a period of thinking, I'm not intelligent enough to start a business. That's a big girl job.
Yeah. So for me, I felt the same, but obviously I wasn't ill. It wasn't that knocked out of me. It was working for other people. Because although I've worked for some morons, they kind of have always made me feel like, oh, my job's really hard and you couldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And they've obviously been business owners. So that always made me think, oh, I wouldn't be able to do that. Not a chance. So when I started the business, I'd never really really called it a business. It was just like, oh, I just do this and it's fun and I like it and it's cute. And then when I quit my job, I was like, oh, this has to be a business now. So I guess I
sort of pushed into
put
it.
on my big girl pants and call it a business, I guess.
Yeah, and I think for a lot of us, I think for the vast majority of people that we've spoke to doing this podcast, they've either started in 2020 or they've really had to either...
They've upped the ante.
They've upped the ante or pulled out completely. And obviously we're not talking to the people who pulled out completely. But it seems to be either one of those three things.
It's weird, isn't it?
It's such an important time.
Such a pivotal time for everyone, wasn't it, really? So, Laura, do you still have a normal job alongside?
Well, after COVID, I went back to my retail job and I was just like, oh, fuck this. I can't keep doing this. This is awful. Like, the people, I think it was weird because when I went back into retail, I felt like the general public just got meaner. Yeah. They just did not give a crap. But they would, and I was just thinking, why am I doing this for a bit more than minimum wage? Like, why am I doing this? And I just couldn't find an answer. And I was like, I needed to do something else. Like, I just needed to do anything else. Weirdly, I saw a job for working in a coffee shop and I was like, I've never, making coffee for me was putting the kettle on, putting in the instant stuff and then adding milk. But I was like, he said, oh, we give full training, blah, blah, blah. And I just went to the interview and I just totally clicked with the owner and the girl who was like the managery supervisor type. And I was just like, oh, I could really see myself working here. Like, it just seems like a real fun vibe and things like that. And I, even in my interview, I was like, I have my own business. Like, I wore a pair of my own earrings to the interview because I was like, oh, I'm definitely getting the job for a wedding. And I just thought, oh, I'm just going to try it. I've never really cooked things much before. I've done a bit of baking, but I thought, oh, I'll just do it. And I just went into it and I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It made me realize that I could do a lot and I could just go, oh yeah, I could just try this, try that, and it gave me, again, more confidence. So I left that job and moved to another coffee small business where I am locally, and I'm a manager at one of their locations.
Oh wow.
And I've never been a manager before. When I was doing it, weirdly, the girl that interviewed me for that original coffee job, she moved on and was doing some work with them and for social media and stuff, and she's like, Laura, you should apply for that job. You'd be so good and you would just get on with everyone so well. And I was like, and that girl, my friend Emily, she's like one of my bestie buddies now. Like, we met through doing that job, and she comes to all my markets. Like, I'll be at some random market in central London and then suddenly after a couple of hours of selling, she'll just pop up with her boyfriend. It was just another sign, it's so good to have people that are supportive around you for doing your small biz stuff. And then she encouraged me to work for this other company, and I've been doing that for a bit over a year now, and I literally love it. I cannot say how much I love it. It's so nice. I just have fun every day, and you get annoying people in every job and stuff like that. There's always customers that maybe have had a bad day and they take it out on you or something, but I kind of have learned over the years how to deal with that sort of thing, and I just feel like I've just enjoyed doing what I do now, and I feel like I'm actually getting paid a good wage for it now, so it's even better.
Oh, that's lovely.
So it's finding the balance. I think the whole life really is finding the balance, and for those of us that work self-employed full time, that's great for them, but for a lot of us as well, we like to balance a day job alongside of it, and if you can find that perfect balance, then you're sorted. Really, you really are.
I to be honest, I was mega lucky with getting the jobs that I have where they have been really supportive of what I'm doing, because in retail and hospitality, saying that you need a weekend off every Saturday off in December, that most of the places I've been always very open with them and said, look, I'm going to apply for things. If I get offered it, if you say I can have that time off, I'll book it off and then I'll say yes. If you say I can't because something's on, then it's a shame, but I can't. I've always had that kind of honesty thing with them, and they're like, yeah, great, that's what we need. We need someone who's going to be reliable, but it's a give and take. That's a huge thing if you want to do something creative, to find work where you can have flexibility.
This isn't related to the theme, but that actually is a good tip for anyone that does run their own business and also is looking for a day job. A lot of places now want to see your availability on your CV. So that is your opportunity to say, I run my own business, and whilst I can be flexible for you, I also expect you to be a little bit flexible for me. Don't word it like that, because That sounds a little bit entitled, but it's a nice opportunity to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what made me want to switch out of being in retail, because after COVID, when I went back, part of the, like, during the lockdowns, they basically phoned up all the deputy managers in this company. I won't say the company, but it's not probably a secret. But all the deputy managers, or the majority of them, I think it was like 80% of them, they phoned them all up on a conference call and said, "You're being made redundant."
Wow.
My deputy manager was a good friend of mine, and she had gone off for isolation in the February because she was pregnant. And so they told everyone to go early. So she'd not seen anyone. And she literally had to message me and ask me to clear her out of her locker because she couldn't come back in because of the COVID restrictions as well. And then we went back into it, and I was then like next down from the manager, and I was like, well, you're not going to pay me as a deputy, but there would be little things that come say, oh, here's this policy thing you've got to deal with, and I'll be, no, that's not, I'm not paid for that. And I would put my foot down. And they then put this thing in play where it's, if you worked so many hours, like I had a minimum hours on my contract, you had to have availability of that plus 10 or something like that. It was almost like saying, they said, as much as like you've got 10 hours minimum, you should have availability for the whole week, essentially. And I was like, no way. You can't, you're not going to guarantee paying me these hours, but you expect me to be available for them. And if I'm not, then it's like, I'm at fault. And so I thought, I'll carry on working there, but I am definitely looking for something else. Like, I can't stay in this because they're asking so much but giving so little back.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's mad.
It's amazing how many jobs are like that. I remember once applying for a 6-hour position in a shop, and they expected me to be fully flexed the whole week for 6 hours. It was a phone interview, and I even said to her, I said, has anybody said they'll do that?
Yeah.
And even she was like, no.
Yeah. Because surely anyone that's working a 6-hour job needs another job.
Yeah.
And that job would come first, presumably.
Or they've asked for a 6-hour job for a reason, like another thing they're doing that they can't do it full time.
But I'm the same though. The reason that job is fine for me is because of the flexibility.
Yeah.
I don't have to go, I've got a market that day, can I swap my days?
Yeah.
I get the weekends off. Happy days.
Yeah. I think if you can find that balance, then it works, doesn't it?
Yeah. But it does relate back really though, because it took COVID for me to find that balance.
Yeah. I think it made a lot of people really, really think about things.
Reevaluate their lives.
Yeah, it did, which I think is why a lot of people started businesses. They thought life's too short to work for someone else or be doing something I don't want to be doing, and I love that for them.
That's a good thing. It just shouldn't take
pandemic
that kills lots of people to do that.
Yeah.
Like I say, we should have a lockdown but with no virus. Where Keir Starmer will just pop up on telly one day. I hope he's still Prime Minister by the time this goes out. But I just need Keir Starmer just to pop up on the news one day and say there's absolutely nothing going on, but we are just going to shut all businesses.
Yeah. You're not allowed to leave your
get
house.
paid because we're not fucking over the shops here. You'll still get paid, but the people who work for them, you go home, just have a think about what you want to do with your lives.
Read
see
books,
how you feel in a
bake
couple
banana
of
bread,
months.
go for little walks.
And keep the pubs open, please.
Right, so today we've got 2 questions.
Yay. I like these questions. I think
wanna
we've got
read
really
the
good
first one?
questions for today. Should I?
Yeah, go on.
So our first question is from Sassy Makes, who submitted about 500 questions, which is a
submit
bit
a
weird
lot
because she knows both of us rather
she
well.
could just ask us,
Yeah,
couldn't
she could. Yeah. So she's asked, is there a craft you'd love to have a go at? Also, what craft would you never want to try? Let Laura go first.
Okay.
Well, I should probably say straight off that part of my ADHD is that I collect hobbies, and like I will get fully immersed after watching like one video on TikTok and be like, right, that is my new personality. And then either I'll just forget about it or I'll get really frustrated because I can't do it right. And I haven't got results quick enough. So I have tried many hobbies, many crafts, many things. But during lockdowns, one of the things that I picked up and I love doing is crochet. So now what I want to try is to do knitting, but only because like my nan taught me as a kid, and I like remember she used to knit jumpers for me and my brother and stuff like that. And I'm just like, I would love to have like a knitted jumper or a knitted cardi that I'm just be like, oh yeah, I made that. But I'd like to do that. But also my other one that weirdly, I don't know why I've always wanted to do is like doing like glass blowing or something. Because I watched, there was that series on Netflix where it was like watching people do it like competition wise.
Yeah.
I just kept thinking, God, that's so, I think my brain was like, that looks looks incredibly hard, but also like a really cool skill, like so many times.
Yeah, it's a dangerous hobby.
It's one of those things that I'd be like, oh, if I had like an experience day to try, I'd love to go and just see how difficult it actually is. Yeah, I think I'd like to do those two, but the one I would not want to do, I think just anything sort of technical in sense, like I see so many people with like cricket machines and things like that. And like the idea of having to learn how to program and like set a whole thing, I can already see my meltdown happening.
Yeah.
So I just think anything that's too involved tech wise, I know I can't do it. I just know. I don't even want to go near that. I just know it's a bad place for me to be.
Yeah, no, I get that. When we were setting up the shop, so me and my mum have opened it together, but my mum works in a school full time and she's got like access to like a cricket machine and all that kind of stuff in school. So she was like, I could make us the sign to go outside the shop. We can make it out of vinyl and I can do it all in school. She was like, you just need to design it, learn this new software that you've never used before, and then I'll go into school and get it all done. So instead of that, we cut it all out by hand because I was like, I'm not learning the software.
I'm just like, no, like we said through COVID, life is too short to be learning a whole new thing of software. Like there would be so many tears.
Yeah.
No, life's too short, and YOLO, I think I will do cut and paste.
Yeah.
Get some Pritt stick and do it that way. Thank you.
I already have all the skills that I want. Do you want to go next? Do you want me to go next?
Do you want to go next?
Yeah. So for me, the skill that I really want to learn and the skill that I really don't want to learn are the same skill. So during lockdown, I tried to do needle punching. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really still want to be able to do it, but it also made me want to scream. It was so difficult. I couldn't get my head around it at all. It was so hard. But still somewhere deep down, I'm like, I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really tried and I gave it a good effort and I just couldn't.
Your designs would look really good.
They would. See, that's why I'm like, I wish I could do it.
Oh, I feel like I've set something off then. You've started talking with your hands then. I'm getting a smack after.
I might try again. But I really don't want to because it was really hard.
Should you and me go to a class together?
Oh, that'd be cute.
Yeah.
Go on, what's yours?
So when people draw on their iPads, that baffles me.
Why?
How? How? Are you making the pen talk to the screen? Like how?
Well, the pen just talks to the screen. You don't have to do that.
But like the different brushes and things, like it just baffles me. And Sassy Makes, who asked this question, so for those who don't know, and I think everybody will know at this point, I share my studio with her. She gave me a go on it once and I just drew one line and gave it back and said, that is not for me. I had the same reaction to when someone hands me a baby. I looked at it and went, no,
I don't
have
like
it back. Lovely for you, not a fan. I'm glad you have it and I'm glad you enjoy it. I don't.
So you don't think it's something you could ever potentially get into if you learned?
Well, actually, I feel the same way about having a baby.
Is that the thing you want to try or the thing you don't want to try?
I would like to. I'd like to just see, in my head, she would have given me that tablet and I was going to be amazing at it straight away because I can draw.
Yeah.
I just can't draw on tablet.
Yeah. But maybe you just need practice.
Just on paper for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's how I imagine I would feel as well if I had a baby. Like, shit, I have to get good at this now, but I'm shit. But yeah.
You'll try really hard.
Yeah, the craft I'd like to have a go at. Knitting and crochet again.
Okay.
Because I like the idea of making... I like the idea of walking down the street and somebody going, I like your cardie. And me going, I made it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It is amazing. I literally, a crochet cardie I made and I was wearing it out and I went to Hobbycraft, like, of course. And like, I was walking around and I was kind of like, in a bit of a flat mood. And like 3 separate people told me how much they love my cardigan, including a staff member, like yelled it down the aisle.
Oh.
You should definitely take it up just for that.
Yeah, just like, I think I'd feel like such a Billy Big Bollocks that if that happened to me. But then I'm also relying on the fact that what I make would be good enough that people compliment it. And also, my mum did try to teach me. So my mum's really into crochet. And she did try to teach me years ago. I am left-handed. She is right-handed.
Oh, no. I'm left-handed. I could teach you.
Yeah, you could, but you never do.
Oh, you've never asked before. You've never asked me.
You never do. Not got time for little old Ellie outside.
Right, so after this, we're going to look for needle punching classes and I'm going to teach you how to crochet.
God, we're going to be so busy. We already haven't got hours in the day. But one that I absolutely never give a go, but I have given a go because I had to. So in college, I was on like a level 3 course, which means that you do a little bit of everything and then you specialise. And for like 6 weeks, we were doing like jewellery making and glass making.
Oh, okay.
Oh my God, I was a danger to myself and others. I remember one time the tutor was doing a demo and I wasn't even doing anything, but somehow managed to get a shard of glass stuck in my hand. And he's doing this demo and he's going, Ellie, could you shut the fuck up? up. I've got this glass hanging out my hand here. And I don't even know how. I don't know if I've touched the workbench or what.
Yeah, that's not for you. You're far too chaotic for that.
I think I'm way too chaotic.
It's not for you.
Do you want to read the second one? Because I read the first one.
So the second question is from Anonymous. Ooh.
It's a silly name.
They've asked, what's something that you wish you knew before starting your business? Laura, do you want to go first again?
Yeah. So what I wished I knew before starting my business, number one, how to do taxes. I don't know why in my head, like I knew that people did taxes and stuff, but I just didn't realize how like soul destroying it is, and how that the whole tax website makes no sense. I swear it's written in some other language that is not of this planet. And the fear every time I click something, thinking, oh, are they going to tell me I did it wrong, and then I'm going to have to pay thousands of pounds?
Yes.
Yeah, that they should teach it in schools. It's like a crime that people don't tell you how to do budgets and all that in schools. Like I feel like there should be just at least a basic level of understanding of how to do a tax form, so that it was less scary, because I just was so frightened that I was going to do it wrong.
Yeah.
I think the other things I wish I knew was just that it's okay to fuck up, basically, because I was just so terrified. Even things like when I was coming up with the name for my business, I was like, my husband and I were bouncing around ideas of what it could be, and he was suggesting things because like he's a wordy person with his day job, so he was like, oh, you could do this, you could do that, and I was just like, oh, I don't know, and he said, well, just use one for now and you can always change it. I was like, no. It took me so long just to focus on what I wanted as a name, and in the end it was oddly like simple. My brand name is kind of a play on words, because when I was a kid, when my mum used to work weekends and stuff, so my dad would look after me and my brother, and we do things called Make A Daze. So we have a maker day, like get like pipe cleaners and old yogurt pots and make all little craft things, and like go and do all sorts of cutesy arts things together. And then so my other half was like saying, oh, you could do like a plan, like have it Make A Daze, like you're making a statement, you're making an impact. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, it sounds really goofy, I don't know if I like it. And I just sort of put it up there for a little bit, and I thought I won't really announce it as my business name until I kind of feel like it doesn't sound weird. And then I just kept it, and I just like, I love that there's a bit of a story behind it, and it means something to me, and it kind of like suits my brand and like my vibe. But I think I just wish I knew that it's okay to kind of change and evolve. Yes, you want to stick things out a little bit to see if it works, but if you kind of go, actually no, I'm going to go this way or that way, it's okay to change, and it's okay to ask for help. Because like one of my big things is to be like supporting other people in the small biz community. I am literally that girl that if I'm at a market and someone's looking at my stuff and like, it's like a bit big for me, I don't really like it, I'm like, oh, you should go down there, she's got some great stuff.
Yeah.
You should look this person up online, like, because I just love sharing other people's stuff as well, because I like when other people do well, and I'm that mindset that if when you're going up, you should lift other people up with you. And like, if I've learned the mistakes along the way, I am definitely telling the girl on the stall next to me who's her first ever market, I'm like, oh my god, don't go to that market, not for you, you should go to this one, and you should sign up for this because you're going to love that. I just think it's a waste of time not to help others. I like helping.
Oh, how cute are you?
Yeah, you're a trader green flag there. I love it at markets when you hear traders promoting other traders. No, I think that's really nice.
So my thing that I wish I'd known before starting is kind of similar to yours, where you've said like it's okay to fuck up. I just wish that I'd known you can do what you want. I wish I'd known that you didn't have to, like, I spent years and years like setting boundaries for myself within the business. Like I was like, oh, I can't make that, it doesn't match the vibe, I can't try this way of working because it doesn't match the other products that I've already made and stuff like that. But I now try and be looser on myself. I'm like, no, just if you want to make it. If someone buys it, they'll buy it. If they don't, they don't. Do you know what I mean? The whole point of working for yourself is that you can do just that. You can work for yourself, you can do whatever you want to do. And I wish that I hadn't wasted all that time putting myself in a box. And I think kind of like uni kind of put me in that when I did my degree, because they kind of had a very specific way of looking at illustrators, where it was you draw it and then we make it into a children's book, or we make it into a zine, or that kind of thing. Whereas I like the making side of things as well. I don't just want to be an illustrator. So I do say I'm predominantly an illustrator, but I'm also a maker. So I like doing things with my hands, and I like sewing and stuff like that. So yeah, I just kind of wish that I knew that I could do that before I started. I wish that I hadn't wasted all that time thinking, don't do that, you've got to draw a children's book.
Yeah, it is true, especially in like college and uni, because, and you said it yourself, Laura, as well, you have to tick boxes to get the grade.
Yeah.
But then you're suddenly exposed to this new world where you don't have to do anything to tick the box to get
It's
a grade.
all on you then,
it's
isn't
about
it?
you.
Yeah.
In college and uni, you can't just draw a pretty picture because you want to.
Yeah.
It has to have meaning, has
Yeah.
to have depth, has to have a thought process.
Yeah.
You know.
But now, just draw a pretty picture.
And then, you come out of it and you forget the only person you're trying to please now is you.
Yeah.
So just do what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
But for me as well, something I wish I'd known before, like I said, I put off starting my business for so long. And I think the reason that it stayed as a little idea in my head rather than an actual thing was because I felt I wasn't intelligent enough. And it's not about that, even though, as you say, you know, doing your taxes and things is such a headache, and it is. And it's, you know, you can feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah. But everything's Googleable.
Yeah, and do you know what? It still creeps into this day. And we don't all just for the people that can read something written on a website and suddenly just hit click and understand, great for them. But I don't think that's the majority of us.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's about your motivation.
Yeah.
It's about your willingness to push through that.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I think that's another reason why community is so important, because a lot of things, like, I really struggle with reading. So if someone says, here's the instructions, read them, I will really, really struggle with that. But if somebody verbally goes through it with me and says, this is what you need to do you know what I mean? That I really benefit from that. And I think having somebody that's already done the scary thing is really, really helpful.
It is actually, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think I forget about the years as well that I spent stalking people on Instagram before starting the business, yourself included, Jade, and going, oh, well, they've done it.
Yeah.
They're a few years older than me, but they've done it.
Yeah.
But I remember looking at them and they've got something that I want that I don't yet have. And I wasn't sliding into DMs and being dead cheeky and things like that, but I was just sort of looking at them, and it's very easy to get the wrong perspective when you're only looking at a social media account. But to me, I was like, these are your role models. They've done it. They're doing what you want to do.
Yeah. How are you going to get there?
How am I going to get there? Yeah. And it wasn't without help from other people. I think without having, I was at Hazelhurst as well, which I was surrounded by other artists all the time. I did training with the women's organisation as well during lockdown. Now that was just Zoom webinar things, but you can find it.
Yeah.
If you go out and find it, I was very, very lucky to find Hazelhurst and it just be the right fit at the right time. But in terms of the training that I did with the women's organisation, that's open to any woman. That's just there available. You just need to go out and find it.
Yeah. That's the thing, like, almost everything you want to learn, somebody is willing to tell you how to do it.
Yeah.
You just need to find it.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Thanks. I've exhausted myself now. Like
You're
toddler, I
knackered.
need a nap.
That's it for today then.
Yeah, it is, I think. Anything else you'd like to add, Laura? I think that's been a good one.
Right, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for joining us. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for today. If you join us in 2 weeks, we'll be talking about getting back into the groove after taking a break. And we'll be joined by Holly from Designs by Holly, who makes the cutest illustrations and resin accessories. And we're pretty sure she's got some really good advice on resetting and finding your creative flow.
But in the meantime, don't forget to give us a follow on Instagram at reallyfuckingtrying, and check out the links in our bio if you've got any questions that you'd like to ask, or if you'd like to apply to be a guest as well. And there is also a Ko-fi link where you can buy us a coffee or tea or just a little present.
Yeah,
no pressure. We don't ask people
no pressure at all
to donate. We're not chuggers. And
what's a chugger?
like fundraisers.
Oh, right.
So I am a chugger.
But not right now.
But not right now. Or purchase some of our merch as well, because we have got some.
We've got cute stuff on there.
We've got nice stuff on there.
Yes.
Hopefully, Jade, you can edit that and make me sound semi-coherent.
No, I'm not. I'm just going to leave it.
All right. Well, in the meantime, then, see you in 2 weeks.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.